Well, this is Kevin Minton with Outside the Games. I'm here with the coach from University of Hawaii, Coach Brennan Marion. Coach, nice to have you on our show.
I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, tell me a little bit about you as a coach. Now, let's take things back a little bit. First of all, tell me a little bit what's going on with University of Hawaii right now for you, Coach, and under this COVID-19 situation, what's taking place, and how are you handling this situation?
I think every program around the country right now is a little bit in flux, just trying to figure out how to navigate, you know, taking care of the players, keeping them healthy, while also training them and making sure, they're also doing well in their academics and finishing their courses strong, meeting with their academic advisors and professors and just getting things done. So kind of our job right now is just really, being that parent, that coach, just trying to make sure that they get everything in order and keep themselves in a good situation. So when this thing does click back on, we're able to hit the ground running. So that's kind of, everybody's plight around the country right now. And, we're doing the same with Zooming our guys a couple times a day, calling them, texting them, talking to their parents, making sure that, everybody's on the same page and trying to tackle this thing, head on.
Yeah, and I think if anything, you as coaches in your program, technology, you're learning about it right now, how to use Zoom and how to be and how to get your kids, how to get those young men on Zoom as well, and how to use that to the best of its ability. Correct?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously, if this happened 20 some years ago, this would probably it'd be a difficult task. But right now with, the technology capabilities, you're able to, reach out to these guys and see them, put your face on them and know what's going on in their lives. And that's a blessing.
Oh, awesome. Well, again, if you're joining us, we have Brennan Marion. He is the coach for University of Hawaii currently. Coach, tell me a little bit about you as a person, and first of all, let's define what does family mean to you in an aspect of just who you are, what you're about, being raised in I guess Pennsylvania, correct?
Yes.
That area, and then moving to California. So take us a step through of who you are and kind of how you came about for you yourself as a coach.
Well, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm an uncle, I'm a brother. To me, I think the biggest thing is, just being there for your win, lose, or draw people. We all have those people, and, you have your critics and, your haters and doubters and all that stuff. We all deal with that stuff. But to me, it's really about, are you a stand-up guy for the people who've always stood up for you? The people who've been there, whether you won the game, lost the game, tied the game, not in the game, those type of people, your family, can they count on you when they call you? Are you there? And I pride myself on being the one. I always tell my players to be the one, to step up when you're called upon in your family. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need that. I love that my family calls me and reaches out to me when those situations come about. I think me personally growing up, being from Pittsburgh, football is our culture. It is what it is. If everybody knows the Steelers, it's a big deal. I remember my mom crying when the Steelers lost to the Cowboys. Neil O'Donnell threw 3 interceptions. I remember all those things vividly. Going to Latrobe and going to see the Steelers work out and summer training. Just sitting there. I remember sitting there with Rod Woodson all day one day and his family and just talking to him and LaVon Kirkland. I still keep in contact with those guys to this day. And I met those guys when I was 7, 8 years old, so
Wow.
I started playing football young. Me and my brother begged my mom to let me play. I was small, undersized kids, and my birthday falls late. I'm August 25th, and you have to, be a certain age by August 1st to play. So I started on the team when I was 6, on the 7-year-old team. And I remember my mom, we were Section 8, lower income single mom. And, one of the coolest stories was my brother was begging her and fighting back and forth. He's 6 years older than me. And, just let him play. Let him play. He's a beast. I'm telling you, he'll do it. He'll be good. And she threw $25 at us and said, I ain't going to be able to pay the light bill this month, so you better be good, boy. And, my first game, I scored 5 touchdowns and then, kind of She was like, all right, I'm all in on this football thing. You can play football. So growing up, that was our highlight of our weeks, when it was football season and football games. We obviously didn't have it. I definitely didn't say we had it easy. We worked, we all worked, having a single mom. I had a job at 10 years old, 3 different jobs to help out with the rent. My brother as well. He worked 2 and 3 different jobs to help my mom out, so we definitely, had got split up at times and lived different places apart from each other, but we always banded together when it was a crucial time. Like I talked about, win, lose, or draw people that, we've always banded together at the critical time to get things done. And we've all been successful in our own lights of, getting things done from the circumstances that we came from. So that was kind of, growing up. But then, obviously I moved around a lot. And I think it's helped me as a coach. Living in the projects, living in the suburbs, living in the country, living in a trailer park, just living a lot of different places. I moved every year, sometimes twice or 3 times a year when I was a kid. So I did that all the way up until what? Till I left the house, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then when I went to junior college, I had to go to junior college just because I didn't my classes didn't meet up for me to go straight to Division 1. So I went to junior college in California, and it was kind of like a big deal on ESPN, and it was on ESPN First Take and NBC, different stuff, ABC, about how I was homeless. I lived in the locker room and still maintained a 3.0 GPA, became an All-American in football, and earned a scholarship to the University of Tulsa. So that was kind of just, I just had in my mind that I had to make it. And I always had this Bible verse in my head that I really didn't know what it meant until later down the road as I got older. But Jeremiah 29:11, I know God has a great plan for me. I knew that I was going through these struggles and stuff, and it was building my strength. And I knew eventually it would pay off. I just knew in the back of my mind that all that stuff would, come to fruition after a while. And, just kept working in the dark and, got an opportunity to go on to play at the University of Tulsa for Todd Graham and Coach Malzahn. Coach Norvell was my receiver coach. We set a whole bunch of records. I still hold a bunch of records from when I played there, and, stayed there for 2 years. Had a chance to leave as a junior, and I didn't. I really just felt like that was family, and I really loved my teammates there. That was the first team that I was on where I was like, man, these dudes are like, like these are my brothers, and
Right.
didn't feel comfortable leaving as a junior, even though I could have. Came back my senior year, got hurt the last play of the game, my senior year conference championship game, tore my ACL. But I was blessed. I was still able to get signed by the Dolphins. And they paid me for 2 seasons, even though I was hurt. I was hurt my whole professional career. And that's really what led me to coaching. I got hurt.
It was a thing for you. Just couldn't stay healthy, right? I mean, there was you. It's one thing about mind over physical body, and it's like your mind is like saying, "Hey, I'm ready to compete. I'm ready to play on that level." I've learned a lot from my coaches, from Coach Graham and Coach Malzahn, and those coaches. Now I'm ready to go to the next level, but your body just sometimes doesn't respond, right?
Yeah, I went my entire life, 0 injuries until I hit 20 years old. I played 3, 4, 5 sports, different sports. I played all the sports, played all day, every day, trained 7 days a week, twice a day. Like I was a gym rat grinder. I loved it. So for me, I remember like football practice be over with and I go play basketball for 3 hours and then lift. And, like that was just my normal routine every day.
Right.
Like I didn't. But one of the things I always tell my athletes now is, we never ask our athletes why they do certain things. Like, for example, I never slept, right? And the reason why I never slept, a lot of people didn't know. Like, I heard uh, one of my neighbors got killed when I was in 7th grade. We lived in these row houses, and I heard the whole situation. And then just, you just go to school the next day. When you're in those situations and settings, and I remember hiding under a car when the drive-by is going on and the bullets hitting the glass, and being in a nightclub and people shooting at you, like different things that happen, create these anxieties and insecurities and stuff that people have. And I don't think a lot of times people know those different things. Or I never ate a whole meal in a day before. Like I was used to eating one meal a day. So my diet was off, like most guys were like lifting and training and eating all this stuff. I'm eating a Swiss roll and top ramen, like that was my diet.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that went in probably to me getting injured, not lack of sleep, dieting, things like that. But, after you get hurt, then you start doing all those things, but then your body is already starting to shut down, just from the pounding over time. And the beauty of it is I played in such a way that my teammates still honor me, you know, and say like, man, if you didn't get hurt, you would have been, like I'll see NFL coaches and they'll be like, man, you were a dude, da, da, da. Like
Right.
it wasn't a work ethic thing. It wasn't a lot of people leave on like bad character, bad terms and stuff like that. It was just that my right leg couldn't stay healthy, like kept tearing my right ACL. And I kept getting opportunities to, people kept asking me to play. But once I started coaching, I kind of found my purpose and passion in life and really what I wanted to do the rest of my life. I really didn't have any, I just lost that spirit to want to play. I mean, I just wanted to coach. Something about helping a guy go through the A to Z process and matriculating them from boys to men and, you know, helping them create a championship lifestyle and be successful, really just gets me up in the morning without an alarm clock. I mean, I found something that gets me up without an alarm clock waking me up. I wake up excited every day just to help someone and reach out. And I'd kind of been doing that my whole life just from my grandma and my mom. They had always, no matter the lack of money that they had or whatever,
Right.
we always had different people living with us and staying with us and, trying to help people out. And I'm like, we can't even afford to eat. You got like two people putting pennies together to try to eat and, make it. And,
It's like this.
so,
It's like how much do you got? How much do you got? How much do you have? And you're putting
yeah,
it all together, right? Yeah.
exactly. So I think that's the one thing that the hood does teach you how to band together and make it through tough times. And that's kind of like my life now. I mean, every day it's like, how many people can I help? How many people can I impact in a positive way and help their life? So, coaching does that for me. I mean, it's my thing I want to do until, they take me up.
Well, I'll tell you, the life experiences that you face, because that's what it is. It's all about experiences and then what you can apply and try to help others. To say, you know what, I went through these tough times, a lot of adversity, a lot of challenges, and this is what I can kind of bring to the table as a coach and as a mentor to your kids. Tell me a little bit about what the experience was with being around, because a lot of times when you're a coach, you'll kind of reflect back on some things that you remember. Man, I remember Coach Graham said that. I remember Coach Malzahn said that. And you take a little bit of these coaches and move on to maybe creating your own style of coaching. Tell me what that was kind of like and what you maybe grabbed from Coach Graham and Coach Malzahn to maybe making who Brennan Marion is.
I think the biggest thing I saw from them was their professionalism in the workplace of what it looks like. They were the models of work ethic, and they were the models of like the way my coaching career has kind of gone. I started as a high school coach, and I wanted to be a high school coach first. I didn't want to go straight to college or the NFL. I wanted to get my own deal. I wanted to know my coaching style and engineer my own thing, So that's really what I learned from them to, just have the vision and Coach Malzahn always to dream big, like he was a guy who, like he came from a trailer park in Arkansas to to where he's at now. And
Wow.
Coach Graham kind of the same thing, a single mom to where, to be a head coach at what 4 or 5 different
University.
major colleges,
Yeah.
to see that work ethic. Those guys are 5 a.m. to midnight type guys grinding and working and getting it done. And that's kind of one of the things that I kind of pride myself in and making sure that guys know that I'm all in for them and working hard for them. And they know that, Coach Marion is going to give me every possible thing that he knows to be successful. But then, also what that did was it gave me the confidence and courage to go create my own thing. As a high school coach, I took over a lot of bad programs and places guys wouldn't go. You know, Nobody wants to take over the 0-10 team, and
Oh,
they all want to sit on the great teams and talk about how many rings they're collecting, but nobody wants to go do the dirty work of really going to. I was the guy who did the guys' laundry and lined the fields and was the equipment manager and picked the players up because we didn't have
wow.
enough players, so had to go pick them all up. even the ones that weren't, everybody's like, well, the star player I'll go pick up. No, I'm talking about the guys who were on JV and who probably would have never played. I picked those guys up too, so I think I prided myself on that, just engineering and creating my own scenario and situation of what success looked like from seeing those guys be successful from the lower levels and working their way up.
Yeah, and you've had stops throughout the way. I mean, through on the way of your journey and through coaching. I think Arizona State is to mention one. William and Mary, is that right?
Yeah.
That university. Now to University of Hawaii. Tell me, how did you end up at University of Hawaii? How did that work out? And you guys had quite a season last year, so tell me about how that all worked out.
Yeah, it was kind of, when I was a high school head coach, I had won coach of the year. I took over like an 0-10 team and we won the conference championship the first year. And I was really getting the itch to go to college. I was really starting to, it was like my fourth or fifth year coaching high school ball. And I was like, man, I can do this. A lot of coaches would come by and tell me like, man, you're detailed, you're organized, you're on it. Like you got what it takes. And um, Coach Norvell, gave me an opportunity to come with them and Coach Graham at ASU, so I was kind of like a quality control GA type role. And I really worked my butt off and, showed that I could, hold my own as a coach at that level. And, was surrounded by a lot of great people and Coach Graham there we just always kept in contact. But for me, to go from being a high school head coach of having 100 guys and doing everything to going to be
Right.
a GA was like, I
I
don't
don't
know
know
about
about
that.
this.
So I went and started coaching places, and one of the cool things about how you treat people with dignity and respect, one of the things I learned from Coach London, who was the head coach at William and Mary, is I met Coach London when I was a high school head coach
Oh wow.
because me and his son were on the Dolphins together. His son gave me his number,
Wow.
right?
Man.
And I met him and we were talking ball and, and he was like, man, I really like what you're doing with your team. And da da da. So I went and coached Division II with a former teammate that I knew from Tulsa. So it all, you're always connected with people. So I always tell people about treating everybody the same and treating people right because you never know what's going to come around or turn around for you. And so basically, long story short is, you get connected with these people, and I've been surrounded by great people who put me on their shoulders and lifted me up. And basically, when this opportunity for Coach Graham came around to get the Hawaii job, he called me and asked, would I be willing to come? And I said yes.
Wow. Yeah, that will tell you. I mean, because were there any moments in there that you kind of said, what am I doing here? You wanted to be somewhere else. I mean, was there any kind of moment in that where you kind of found yourself you were focused, but you probably set your sights high, right?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is if you do a great job where you're at, like I heard Oprah say, if you make French fries, right, be the best French fry maker in the world, and people will come to your restaurant to see your French fries. Like I think if you just do the best wherever you're at, people will take notice. Like it's not John Wooden always talked about like, did you do the best that you could with what you had? Like people understand. Like when I was at William and Mary, we took over. It was the worst offense I think in 2 years in FCS.
Wow.
And then we doubled the point total and we averaged more yards and we played with a whole bunch of freshmen. So people understood like, man, he did a hell of a job. They did a hell of a job with what you had, and people took notice of that. So it's like wherever you're at, just do the best possible job. With the players you have, love them up, give them the best that you possibly can, and then the next level will take care of itself because people will see that guy's working over there. He's doing a hell of a job with what he has or she is or he, just you'll see people will see your work, the fruits of your labor will pay off, and the next level will take care of itself as long as you dominate the levels that you're at with what you have.
Yeah, this is Kevin Men with Outside the Games. We do have, if you're joining us, Brennan Marion. He is the University of Hawaii wide receivers coach. Being at University of Hawaii, you came in as a wide receivers coach. Is there something about the wide receivers that you get excited about of why you wanted to be a wide receivers coach? And is there something about offense that you just love?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've been blessed at the college level. I've coached quarterbacks, I've coached running backs, coach receivers, um, tight ends, so, but I played receiver. So, I have an affinity in my heart for being a receiver. And the one thing that's unique about me as a receiver is I don't come from this all American pedigree. My dad was a superstar, did all this stuff. Like I'm basically like a walk-on guy who made a name for himself, going from being a junior college guy, living in the locker room to seizing an NFL contract and getting paid by the NFL. Like so I'm able to give guys exactly the nuggets and hard work and the tools it takes to take their game to the next level. Now, obviously, the more talented of athletes you get, the better that they will be in the long run. You see what I'm saying? So,
So true.
and then so like from an offensive standpoint, I've always, since I was a little kid, have had an affinity just for football in general. But you know, offense for me has always been, I've been blessed to play on the number one offense in the history of college football. We had a 5,000-yard passer, 1,000-yard rusher, and 3,000-yard receivers, and I was one of them. I've been a part of that, and I've always been a part of teams that had explosive offenses and turning offenses around. I've always studied the greats, the Sid Gildmans, the Mouse Davis, June Jones, Joe Gibbs. There's so many great offensive minds that you study and surround yourself with, and then you go to a place like Hawaii where Mouse Davis, June Jones created the run and shoot.
Yes.
You get a chance to see it, watch it on film, and it's like, man, it's just another place to be around another explosive offense. That the precedent is set. So it's been a blessing.
And this is where things have come in then for you to kind of, when you see offensive, like, I mean, there's Chip Kelly's the blur offense, there's the run and shoot, the pistol, the wishbone. There's all kinds of different of offenses that coaches have used. Offensive minds have wrapped their head around it, how they can create more opportunities in space with the spread and a lot of different ways of putting up numbers. Tell me what has been for you, because there's this thing called the go-go offense and what you've been able to do to kind of add some wrinkles to kind of some different things that you've learned to taken from Coach Graham, Coach Malzahn, so Mouse Davis, June Jones, a lot of these, offensive minds. How has Coach Marion been able to kind of put all of that together to create such a interesting offense that's coming about here with go-go offense?
Yeah, I think the thing that when you talk about a great artist, they're able to see one thing and make it another. While certain people see something and they go, oh, that's all they can see. So they copy it, try to duplicate it. But once you try to copy or duplicate something, you're already behind it. So for me, I saw something that was standing the test of time. It was the T formation, option football, and I was trying to figure out how could, because Coach Malzahn mastered the wing tee and putting it in shotgun and 11 personnel. That was kind of like our claim to fame at Tulsa, what we did, 20 personnel stuff. And I really wanted to create my own thing. How do you engineer your own offense? So, I have a book out right now, the Go-Go Offense book, and basically it teaches you how to engineer your own offense, right? And I talk about the 8 Ps of how you create your own philosophy, how you master your personnel, how you pronounce the offense, how you play with pace, things like that. I think I was able to engineer my own offense from seeing something old that nobody really wanted to run or used, in today's football, and I put it in the shotgun. I put it with our, up tempo principles of going fast and gadget plays and shot plays. But the thing that's unique for us is it's a three-headed monster. On every single play, all three guys in the backfield can get the ball. So what that does is it captures the defense's eyes and forces them to put more guys in the box, which leaves our receivers one-on-one or sometimes just running wide open free down the field. So we're not really trying to be spread and put people in space. We're more of a triple option pro style approach where we really want to run the football and dominate the game with the run, and then take a lot of vertical shots down the field when you give us the opportunity to do that. So, that's what makes us different and unique and what makes people talk about it, because not anybody else runs our formations or style of play that we play at. So, that's the thing that's made the go-go offense unique.
Well, I tell you, you have an interesting player from around this area, Lincoln Victor. obviously is with you as a wide receiver. What has it been for Lincoln coming into University of Hawaii? He's got some playing time early. Came from Union High School, won a state championship here in Vancouver in this area in Washington State. But what has it been like to coach somebody like that, like Lincoln?
Well, we got a chance to get around the guys as far as being in the weight room with them and on the field, and I think that Lincoln has the same stuff in his neck that I have. You know, being a smaller guy, undersized. You know, he has that like I'm gonna come at you, get at you type mentality, and you know, you really look for guys that have that toughness to them that you don't have to. You know, all you have to do is say a word to him and it trigger. You know, you can trigger him quick to get things done and be on it. And you know, I think that guy really has that it factor as far as maximizing what he has and playing a little bit bigger than he is. You know, you wouldn't expect the guy to come up with some of the plays that he made last year as a true freshman. You know, just he's able to, you know, get into that, you know, be in that dark place, but still, you know, make light of it. You know, he's able to get there. You know, he has that in there with him. So, you know, that's the one thing that makes him special and unique.
Well, and it's also been a thing of where somebody can measure up size and height and really try to judge that. But this is where you players like yourself, and I think you see a little bit of Lincoln Victor in yourself, like you had said, of a person trying to prove himself and saying, "Hey, it doesn't matter how tall I am. Watch out."
Yeah, I think Steve Smith was the guy who set that mold for you know the little dudes that are just pit bulls, got that dog in them. You know, and Lincoln Victor's definitely one of those guys.
So with the go-go offense and what you've been able to create there at University of Hawaii, obviously it's going to raise some eyes into other programs, right? Other programs going to be like, okay, what is he doing? What's going on? They're scoring points. A lot of times, as you saw with Chip Kelly when he was in New Hampshire, and Mike Bellotti grabbed him over to Oregon. Just that's kind of an example. But sometimes you become that hot commodity. How do you stay grounded? How do you stay, Coach Marion? How do you stay within yourself and as far as keep on plugging away and keep on going for it? What's your mindset when you're kind of dealing with talk of the town, talk of maybe other universities, saying, hey, this is the new type of an offense, and he's kind of looked at and has kind of add some wrinkles. What has that been for you?
I think the biggest way you stay grounded in at our level as a college or high school coach is being a giver. Don't hoard the information. You know, I know at the NFL level, you want to keep everything a secret and be so secretive with your stuff. But, you know, at the same time, I wake up every day with a giver's heart and wanting to help people. And then with the players, I mean, the players keep you grounded. If you're really rooted in the players and loving them up and being about them, they'll always keep you grounded. They'll keep you young. They'll keep you laughing, you know, and don't take yourself so serious. You know, I think a lot of times people get success and they just get so swelled up with importance, you know, that they forget why they're coaching. I never forgot why that I started coaching and what makes this, you know, I get paid to teach football and life
Yeah.
every day. I used to pray when I was a gym teacher, you know, because I really just wanted to coach football, you know, and I used to pray in my little office. My office was in the boys' locker room. My first job, teaching job. My office was in the boys' locker room, right?
Wow.
And every day I'd pray, like, God, please just make me a football coach where I can just, you know, coach the guys and love them up. I'll do whatever it takes if you just, you know, give me that opportunity, you know. So I never forgot that, you know, and that's kind of what's keep me grounded and humble. You know,
Outside the games always looks at ways of kind of the human element of things and how we see things of humility and how it makes you rather than just the player, but the actual person as well. And that's what really makes you the person you are and the player you are. I know that there was kind of a story that, and I think it was a very humbling story to where you were, is it right, living out of a press box?
yeah, I was talking about that earlier a little bit. Just you know, me and a friend, we came from Pennsylvania out to junior college in California. We had went to one junior college first. It didn't really work out there. We were like, it's like 8 or 9 guys living in a 1 bedroom studio apartment.
Top
Just
ramen.
wasn't. Yeah, actually lived with a guy from Salem, or you know,
Oh wow, Salem, Oregon.
Yeah, Josh Riddle, he was a quarterback there at the school, So we actually talked a couple weeks ago, and it just wasn't a good situation. It wasn't working out, wasn't going the way we thought it would go, and so we transferred to a different school, and we came upon some tough times, and we started, like, how can we afford to stay out here? I mean, rent in Pennsylvania is $400, $500 when I was coming out of high school. Rent in California was $1,200 to $1,500 in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. So, like, there was no way you can work a job and go work a full time job and be full time in school and football. I mean, that was just like,
Wow.
how's this going to happen? So, we had to find a way to X out the middleman somehow. The middleman was rent because you couldn't afford rent. So it was
Right.
like, all right, we'll prop the door open some days and we'll stay in the locker room. We'll prop the door open some days and we'll stay in the press box. If both of those are closed, we'll find a hallway. We slept in hallways. We slept outside under the bleachers. I mean, we did whatever it took, because when you have a dream, and people are telling you can't get it done, you can't get it done, you got to do it. Like for me, you just have to do it. Like that's just the way that I'm wired. There's nothing you can tell me that I can't do. That like I'm gonna find a way to get it done. And we were able to do that. A lot of great people, teachers, teammates, friends in California, coaches that gave us opportunities to stay with them some days to take the pressure off, and feed us and help us, too at the same time. So, I no man's an island.
Mm.
It takes great people around you, surrounded by great people. People. I would say God sends you angels. There's a lot of people who just helped me out of the blue one day that didn't know me from a can of paint, had no reason to help me, and did. So, that was the thing that got me through.
It's those moments, that really they make you who you are, and they make you hungry and continue to want to get better, improve, focus, be a better student of the game. Obviously, that's something that you've done, Coach Marion. Hey, it's been a pleasure to have you on the Outside the Games. We appreciate it. Under COVID-19, right? This has been a challenging thing for everybody now, having to social distance and do these things. But we appreciate having you on our show, and we wish you the best from all of us at Outside the Games. We wish your organization, your team, your university the best, and obviously we're hoping that we can get to some type of normalcy. I know your kids are anxious to practice together, and you guys as coaches, you're trying to kind of putting together a scheme for this year. Obviously, a new coach, new head coach now that you have. Tell me a little bit about that. What's been going on there?
Yeah, the biggest thing is just trying to, like you said, keep the organization and keep everything going. With a new head coach, new offense coordinator, new defense coordinator, you're trying to put in your processes and procedures, how you want to daily operate, and then you want to, elevate things. So that's what, Coach Graham has been known to be a great fundraiser and a great motivator of people. So, that's his big thing right now of trying to get everything, the way he sees it, his vision for the program. And then, obviously you got to put the schemes and plans in place and installations and, worrying about who you're going to play and face opponents. I mean, so it goes in a lot. There's a lot of the day-to-day operations that go in. But like we said, I mean, it's all about this Zoom life right now when you're quarantined. So, just trying to navigate through those trials and tribulations as well.
There cannot be enough said also about the state of Hawaii that embraces you. 808 love, man. It's been something that obviously Coach Graham probably enticed him to come to Hawaii, but then again, for you and you other coaches to stay, a lot of love there, huh? In that community.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, like I told you, one of the great things about moving around is, I had teammates from the islands, Maui and the Big Island, different places where I've got to see the culture before I came to before I came to the culture, before I came to the island. I got to see the culture and be around it. Some of those guys were like family to me, still in contact with those guys to this day. Where you grew up in Pennsylvania, you only grew up with Black and Italians and a couple of
Right.
Irish people, Polish. You don't really see a lot of, you know, uh,
I
Polynesians and
Polynesian.
Spanish, just different cultures. So when I moved out to California, it was a blessing to be around those guys and play with those guys.
Yes, you had a little bit of exposure to that. So then going to Hawaii was kind of like, okay, I'm familiar. I'm familiar. Well,
No
hey,
doubt.
I tell you, Coach Marion, thank you again for being on our show. Like I said, we wish you the best out there in the 808. And hey, best of luck to you too in your futures as well as a coach and growing as a coach. And hey, definitely keep us up to date as far as how everything goes, and we'll be in touch. Okay.
All right. Appreciate you. Thank you, man.
Hey, you bet. Thanks a lot, Coach Marion. Again, this has been Coach Marion, Brennan Marion with University of Hawaii, wide receivers coach. Boy, what a story. We appreciate him very much, and much love from outside the games to him as well. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All
Thank
right.
you.